Hey YouTube, it's been a minute. You may be wondering where I've been. The past 2 months, 3 months kind of now for me, since I would say March, so that's actually quite a lot longer, June, March, April, no, more April, since April have been really difficult for me. I'm pretty public about the fact that I struggle with or I have an autoimmune illness and that it's a chronic illness. That is just something that I've had since it's genetic. There's nothing we can do about it, like she's here. I've been pretty open in the past about that, especially when it influences decisions I make or how I conduct myself or changes in business schedule. But I didn't really totally understand what was going on with my body. And that's a really scary place to be in when things are happening and going wrong and you don't know what's going on. And that's where I was for the past 2 months. And that was also kind of where I was a bit in January and February. And that kind of situation, which now has kind of been figured out and I kind of know what's going on and how to deal with it. But that kind of situation when things are consistently flaring and going wrong and everything's bad and you feel like you're the sickest you've ever been, but feel like you're doing everything right. That kind of situation truly does not help with your mental health. So I was really struggling the past 2 months. Not in like a way that put me in danger, but just in a way that I didn't have any motivation to be on camera. I didn't have any motivation to put myself out there past what I had to and past little like reels and short content. I didn't have the energy and I didn't have the emotional capacity to make YouTube videos because I genuinely didn't want to be perceived. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want to have people know what was going on with me until I felt like I was in a position where I felt a bit better and a bit more open about what was going on. So yeah, I got sick a total of 2 times with a viral infection over the past 2 months. And then on top of that, I had a very strange flare-up that resulted in flu-like symptoms and a fever, which typically is not a really great sign. And it was that moment where I really felt like I had to change what I was doing. I had to change the way I was working. I had to change the way I was engaging with the world around me, how much I was taking on, and how I was taking care of my body. Because it's really easy to feel better and just pile shit on and do a lot. And it doesn't help when autoimmune illnesses after flares, at least mine, take 6 to 9 months, if not longer, to fully heal. And that's just the small intestines. It's not the rest of the body. When the body gets thrown out of whack, it takes a really long time for everything to come together again. And I had to sit down and recognize what I was prioritizing and what I had time and space for. And some of that time and most of that time, I really didn't have any space or time for YouTube, which is unfortunate because it's something I really love doing. But when I'm waking up and I know that I'm going to have to take a 2 to 3 hour nap at some point during that day, and I have a bunch of packages to ship or a restock planned or something that is going like Patreon content to make, something that is, I guess, paying me, I often have to choose that. And it's sad in a lot of ways because I really, really love making free content. Like I love making YouTube videos. I love making blog posts. I love making that stuff. But when it hits the fan, it's often the first thing to go. And that is upsetting to me. But I also feel like if I can't step away from something that, yeah, it's something I love doing, but it's also very public and it's also something that is still a lot of energy and work. If I can't step away for a little bit and come back and say, hey, I needed a break, why am I doing it? If like, do I love it that much? I think that we all have creative kind of ebbs and flows. And for me, I was just in a position where my creativity was at an all-time low. I felt like I was in full survival mode, trying to figure out what the fuck was going on with my body. I was exhausted. I was sick. I was sleeping a lot. And I just didn't want to be on camera. I didn't think that I had anything to offer. I don't really like talking or showing a lot of my chronic illness online because it is really vulnerable. And I think that it often leads to a lot of negative comments or negative responses. Sometimes, you get some positive things and folks telling you to rest up and make sure you're okay. But a lot of times I don't want to make a video of me laying in bed for 4 days. And yeah, there's a part of this that is like my own idea of what my YouTube should look like, but also, or like what kind of videos I want to make, but also like is incredibly hard to be that vulnerable on a huge platform. And if I can choose not to do it, I won't do it. Even especially as a witch, the amount of times that I've come out and said like something bad has happened, or like I've been ill and someone was like, oh, that's because I hexed you. Such bullshit. I don't need that when I'm already emotionally exhausted and physically exhausted and mentally not doing well. I don't need strangers to tell me that I'm getting karma for something that I did in a past life. And oftentimes that is the reality of like how spiritual communities and a lot of spiritual people react to chronic illness. They kind of dismiss it and lean into that direction, which is why I talk about it, but also why I'm very careful with what I share in that regard. Because when I am really sick, I am absolutely more sensitive. I am absolutely less protected. I am absolutely like in a space where I'm going to be more vulnerable, not because my wards and my protections don't work, but because that's where my emotional state is at. So I know that if I put myself out at my most vulnerable point, and I get a negative comment, I probably wouldn't handle it very well. And sometimes I just don't want to do that to myself. Sometimes I don't have a choice because I have to work. And this is where kind of we get into the reality of being a content creator and a self-employed person. How much I make in a month is really contingent on how much I do and how much I put out. And so on the months where I am just not putting out a lot, I absolutely notice a dip in subscribers, in patrons, in people following me and people buying my products. And that is incredibly difficult, but it's also something that I can't control. For the sake of my health and the sake of making sure that Chaotic Witch Aunt continues to survive, including my products, my YouTube, my blog, I'm going to be changing a few things and revitalizing this structure. And how much I'm committed to, how much I do, I'm going to be taking a lot more naps. I'm also going to be a lot more loose with when things restock and when things get shipped. So you may notice shipping delays, and I appreciate your patience as I navigate that. Although everything should be shipped by now from the last restock. If you didn't get a notification, hit me up. But it did take me like 3-4 weeks to get those packages shipped, primarily because of the things I just talked about. Everyone who reached out was super, super understanding, but I am going to be updating shipping kind of ideas on the website. So folks are a little bit more understand kind of how long it's taking and why it's taking that long. There's a lot of elements to this that the first thing I did was decide to take a break from in-person readings at Ritual Craft for July and August. My books are closed. You can't book me. I will be there for the rest of June. And during this time, I will also be taking virtual clients through my website, but I will not be reading in person at Ritual Craft for the next 2 months. So if you're a client of mine through there, book me now or get used to booking me through my website and doing virtual readings. And that's just because energetically being in person with folks takes a lot, and I'm not able to show up at my best in person for walk-ins right now and for clients. Virtually is a little different because there's a lot less energy involved, so I will be continuing to do that. Along with that, my shop and some of my shop products are going to become more seasonal, meaning they are limited edition, especially some of the waters like St. John's water and juniper. the Genepra Herba Ally spray probably won't be back until the winter. Even though it had such a limited run, I wasn't able to give it the attention I really wanted to because I was sick. So a lot of things, once they are out of stock, they won't be back till the next year at the same time. And this is just to honor a seasonality in my practice, but also to put a little less stress on how much I'm making. So most of my oils will be staying around full time, but some of the sprays and some of the other things will only be available at certain times of the year. And how and what that will look like is going to come in the next few weeks. And it's probably going to be on like a newsletter, so you can sign up for my newsletter on my website. On top of this, I'm teaching a little bit more, and this is something that I really enjoy doing. It feels like a very ancestrally guided thing for me right now. And we still have spots open for the Plants as Ancestors online container, as well as 2 classes that are open outside of the container, which is Plants as Protection and Plants as Ancestors Living with the Seasons. Talking about animistic perspectives. The other one's a little bit more Italian American. Both are open to those outside of the container, although we do recommend taking the full 5 container course. On top of that, I have a class coming up on the summer solstice at Ritual Craft where we'll be making L'Acqua di San Giovanni. It is in person, and we'll be meeting plants and hanging out with plants and having a great time. I have so many products and ideas planned of things that I am making that will be rolling out later this summer, including things for the Salem Witchcraft and Folklore Festival, which you should join me at. But all of those projects take time. And if I've learned anything, it's that when I'm feeling better, it's not best practice to pile a bunch of commitments on and projects and get super gung-ho about everything and do everything, because I end up just getting sick again. So I'm taking it easy for the next month. Overall, I'm prioritizing myself more. And I don't know exactly what that looks like yet or how it's going to shift things, but I'm being very intentional about not taking on more than I can commit to on my worst day, and just making sure that I'm like prepped for Salem this August, because I love the Salem Witchcraft and Folklore Festival, and I'm presenting, and there are folks who I love who are going to be there that I want to see. So making sure I'm going to be okay for that is really important to me. And that is a priority. My shop is a priority. Ancestral connection readings is a priority for me, and Patreon is a priority for me. All of these kind of spaces that I've been tending to, clients that I've been fostering connection with, are kind of my priorities. It's a long list. We're working on it. Chaotic Witch Hunt is literally like, I'm literally sitting here and I'm like, I need to rest more. I need to take care of myself. I'm like, here are my 10 priorities. I didn't say that I had it all figured out. I just said that I knew I had to do things differently. And I'm sure in time I'll figure out what needs to change and when and where and why. But for right now, we're just doing our best. But I have been filming quite a little bit in the month where I've not been talking and doing gardening. It's been raining so much here that which is so crazy. It's raining so much here that our grass is a foot tall, and it's so wet all the time that we haven't been able to mow. So don't judge my grass, but my garden's having a great time. So yeah, you'll get to see, I guess, a little bit of like where I've been, what I've been doing, some of the magic and stuff that has been really present in my past month as kind of a reconnection to my practice. I didn't film a lot of it because for me, I wanted to reconnect and get back into the swing of things without a camera before I started really kind of implementing vlogging and sharing witchy content again. So yeah, I hope you enjoy this little peek into what my May looked like. Thanks for watching and your support. I mean it. It means the world. I'm going to go drink some tea and read a book probably. We got blueberries. Come here. Not you. This is Ginger. She's been living with us for a couple months. As you can see, there's an air of chaos here because of it, which, what else is new? So this is what my life has been for the past couple months with also, ow, she bit me. Benj, get out of here. Which is also maybe why you're seeing like a little less. Ginger was my ESA in college. Because of that, we have a very special bond. And then she says she's trying to stop. We're working on it, girl. As you can see, having a herding dog with like a very herdable animal is like honestly not the best decision. My family had some construction on their house, and so we took her in for a bit. Benj, let's see if I can angle this. Benji, stop. Ow! Because even though she lives with my family, I basically raised her. She's just chewing on my fingers. It's really funny. She just tastes it. You want more? You can lick it off. And so she tends to like roundhouse other animals if they get in her way. Hi. You wanna say hi? Oh. You want attention? Yeah. She baby. I'm comfortable with animal hormones. You probably shouldn't watch this part of the video, so I'll put a little skip on that. But I have to redo my bone grease, my degreasing jar. So I figured, why not take you guys along for this part of the process, you know? Don't mind the hose. Hold on. Yeah. Okay. So step one, I gotta strain this, which I typically like to do like into plants, but since it's soap, get most of the water off. Benj, watch out. Since there's a decent amount of like, I almost fell, small bones in here. pain in the ass. So these are the bones that I have degreasing right now. We have a prairie dog skull, teeth intact. Oh, the teeth just fell out as I said that. This is a just tendon, kind of. This is what I am most excited for. This is a rabbit skull, I think. Pretty sure. And some toe bones in here from a rabbit. This is the jaw that I will be using in an oil if the spirit agrees. So the toe bones are really, really small, which is why I like to do this in a little container. And then you just put all the bones back in. Because some of them are smaller and more delicate, I am doing this by hand. You always wash your hands after this, by the way. These are bones that are, for the most part, have most of the fur, fat, the things that cause diseases taken off them. They've either been sitting in a bone box for like a very long period of time, or like just sitting in dirt, or they have been in water for 2 years. Add in some soap, Dawn dish soap. And I like to update this once a week. That is my bone processing. If you want to see or hear more, know more kind of about like what kind of spirits I have in the bone shed right now, or in the bone bucket, you can subscribe to my Patreon at the lowest tier and get a blog post where I talk about bone processing and those spirits. Yeah, otherwise that's all you get, YouTube, because I don't want to be demonetized.